to say, but we are excited to be live with you. We are excited that you are with us. We are excited because we know that tonight's conversation will not only be something that we all can participate in, but also something that we are all able to pull something from, to grow from, to learn from each other. One of my big things, and I think I probably said this a million times, one of my big things, and one thing I'm very passionate about. Sorry, guys, I gotta watch it too because I can't always see the comments. Hey, Sam. Hey, Victoria. So one of the things I'm really passionate about is one, conversations, bringing people in, being able to talk to people. But another thing I'm super, super excited about. Hey, Pastor Gilliam. One of the things I'm super excited about is debunking myths, like getting down to the root of things and really like getting to the truth of the matter, right? We had a whole episode about the truth of the matter. So one of the things as we talk about mental health, as we talk about dealing with detoxing your mind, getting crazy thoughts out of your mind, or let's not even say crazy, getting negative thoughts out of your mind, is debunking myths. There's so many stigmas that come about when you talk about mental health. There's so many stigmas that come about when you talk about detoxing, when you talk about the connection between your mind, your body, and your spirit. There's so many things, whether it be from spiritual spaces, whether it be from academia, whether it be from culture and society, that people like kind of hold on to sometimes, and we keep perpetuating it. But if we really get to the truth of some of those things, it's just not real, right? And one of the greatest ones, and then I will really hop in. One of the greatest ones is like if you have a mental health issue or something that's going on with you where you're not able to regulate your emotions or your actions, that's a sign of weakness, when that's just not true. So counseling, therapy, all these things can help assist with that. But asking for help, knowing that you can't do things on your own, is actually a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness. So I really want to talk about that. On the go moving. Hey, everybody is coming in. I want to say, hey, I wish I could see all the comments. However, I'm going to try to pull them up. That's why I have my phone over here if you see me looking this way. But tonight's conversation is debunking myths, detoxing the mind. So we really want to go into just telling the truth, one, right? And also getting healthy practices of how we can move forward, how we can be intentional and consistent, and how we talk to ourselves, how we see ourselves, how we give ourselves grace and treat ourselves kindly. As well as those around us, because you never know. I was in a conversation yesterday, and you never know what people are going through. And you never know what your smile, what your support, what your just saying something nice to them can do for them in that moment. Like you could really literally stop someone from committing an act or something to someone else or to themselves just because you were present, and you just showed them some type of love. So I'm excited. I'm excited for this conversation tonight. I'm excited to be here with you. And of course, there's always questions for everyone that's in. It's a community conversation. If you've never been on the vent, it is a safe space to talk. This is a no judgment zone. This is a space where if you have experiences or if you have knowledge that you want to share, we welcome that. We want to hear from you. We want you to share. We want you to ask questions. So definitely do that. But just come in. If you could just pop in for a little while, if you want to share it with somebody else, like it's totally up to you. But tonight we really, really, really want to talk about kind of debunking some of these myths and looking at this mind, body, soul connection and how they all really do impact and influence one another. So welcome in the people that I can see. Welcome in the people that I can't see. Welcome in. If you want to drop a comment, definitely do that. This is community conversation. Again, if you've never been on, it's not a lecture where I talk to you and you don't talk back and you just have to sit and listen. It is really, let's all have this conversation together. It's a safe space. So let's hop in. Right, the first thing, and it's gonna be like I'm gonna tell y'all tonight. It's a new night, right? But it's gonna be 10 things, but it's gonna be 10 quick things. We're gonna get to the meat of it, and it's gonna be healthy information, but we're gonna run through them quickly because I really, really want us to be in and out in an hour. That's our goal, right? I don't know if we got somebody to keep this time. My thing is running with the time. We almost already 5 minutes in. Hey, True Ambition. Hey, Music Mac. We're almost already, so that cuts us down to 55 minutes, right? So the first thing I want to talk to you about first thing I want us to share in conversation about is mental health myths. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. While the event, we always try to focus on something that deals with your mental health, something holistic, something mind, body, and spirit. We really want to put a healthy emphasis on mental health this month. One, for mental health awareness. Two, because I don't know what is going on in the world right now, but and you can speak, right? Hey, Janelle's Diary, you can speak from your experience, but there have been so many things going on back to back to back to back. And just from a personal space, right? There have been so many things. Like, granted, life has been good. Positive things have been happening, but there also have been these just what in the world happened today things as well, and they seem to just keep happening back to back to back to back. And that can be challenging for your emotions. That can be challenging for your mental health. That can be challenging for your relationship. So I think we all often also find ourselves trying to navigate life as a person, but also try to navigate life along with other people that we love, that we care for, that we have to work with, that we serve. And sometimes that's hard. If we just want to be honest, right? Sometimes it's hard. So one of the things, and of course, I've had mental health um, professionals here, right? We had Fitzroy, who has his own mental health agency that services a younger crowd, children, right? But we also had Mavis on. She talked about grief and religious trauma. So we've had people come on and address these things. But I think one of the biggest, and I would love to hear from you too. One of the biggest mental health myths I've heard is like you wait to go to therapy when there's something wrong, right? You go see a therapist, you go talk to a counselor, but you only do that when something is wrong. And I guess even to take a step back, right? For a long time, and many people of color, Black people, people of color, and many of our communities, what happens in this house stays in this house. So mental health professionals, therapists, counselors weren't always an option, or it was taboo, or there was a stigma with it, like, oh, you must be, something must be wrong with you if you want to see a therapist, or you must be, like you must not be able to handle things on your own if you have to go to a therapist. I think now, especially post, if you want to say post COVID, right? It's become more acceptable in more communities. So I would say that one of the biggest myths I've heard, and what are some common myths that you've heard? If you want to answer that, I would love to hear from you. Hey, Tatted Right. Hey, Tobias. One of the biggest myths I've heard is, if something is wrong, that's when you go see a therapist. When I think therapist, hey, Style Me, Thrift Queen, one of the things that I believe is that therapy helps you maintain. So it is like it's like being preventative. Like we go to the let me slow down, right? I get excited with these conversations. We go to the doctor, right? You get a yearly checkup, you go to the dentist, you get your teeth cleaned as a preventative measure, right? So you don't get cavities, so that you don't get a lot of plaque buildup. You go to your doctor for your yearly exam or whatever to prevent anything or to catch something. Same thing can be applied with therapy. You see your therapist monthly, weekly, bi-weekly, however your schedule is. Sometimes not just because something is wrong, but so you can maintain the tools and have the tools so that in those moments when life is a little bit tougher, so that in those moments when you have to figure out those relationships and figure out things about yourself, you have tools to be able to healthily do that. Right? I don't know. Y'all tell me, what are you thinking? What's on your mind when you think about that? Or what are some myths that you've heard? Because that's my belief is it is like preventative care. Like I drink water so that I'm not dehydrated later. I don't wait till I get thirsty to say, man, I need to drink some water. I drink water because I know that I need water to survive. Right? Style Me Thrift Queen said exactly. Therapy is preventative medicine. That's it. So just say the same way that your body needs water, the same way that you need to eat, same way that you need air in order to have a healthy and maintain a healthy body. Like you don't wait to drink water when the doctor is like, hey, you need some water. You drink it because you know that that will help you maintain and regulate certain things, right? I've learned this lesson the hard way. You need to go to sleep. For some people, that's real simple. For me, I'm like, oh, I got to get this now. I got to do this. You keep going, you keep going, you keep going. That's not healthy. And let me say this, because there's a mind, body, soul, emotional connection. That's not healthy for any of those areas. And I'm going to tell you why from my personal context. When I don't sleep enough, My body is tired. I'm in a brain fog. I'm shorter. I don't have as much patience with people. So now this affects my relationships, right? Because I don't have the same patience that I would normally have with the people that I love, the people I care about, people that I don't know, because I'm tired. So I'm a little cranky. Right? So these things affect emotionally. Sometimes I just check out because I haven't put myself in a position where I can receive things or that I can really even articulate all the time what I need or what I want, because I'm just so tired and drained that I'm not able to operate at my optimal potential, right? Same thing with mental health. If you are not practicing, the positive thinking, if you're not practicing showing yourself kindness, if you're not practicing using the tools and getting, like we talked about last week, getting down to the root of why do I do this, then there could be some things that you're not going to be able, unfortunately, to work through because you haven't put yourself in a position for it. Because if you wait for something to pop up, then it's like, oh, wait, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what, you kind of throw yourself in a frenzy. So excuse me. So if you have other myths, then I would love for you to share them. If not, that's one that I just really wanted to point out because it's one that I see often. It's one that I personally have dealt with often. The second one, and I kind of mentioned it kind of like in the intro, is that if you have a mental health issue or if you're on, like antipsychotics, whatever types of medication, that means that you're a weak person. No, it takes a very strong person, right? And it takes a very strong person to recognize, okay, something isn't right. I'm not myself, right? It takes a very strong person to say, I need help. It's hard to say I need help. It's hard to say I need help, right? I have learned that it is hard to say I need help, but it is so beneficial to say, you know what, I need a little bit more assistance. You know what, this is going to help me regulate this. Because again, using those things, and it doesn't always have to be medication. It can be therapy sessions. It can be working out. It can be, whatever that is that you need to do that you have identified is I need help with this. And if that means that I have to go talk to somebody, if that means that I have to be on some type of medication, if that means that I need to be working out, if that means that I need to be monitoring what I eat, whatever that means for you, it's okay to say I need help. It's okay to say I need an accountability partner for this space. It's okay to say I can't do this alone, because I can. That is why we're here. We live in community. People like, you born alone, you die. Yes, you do, but you live in community at some capacity, whether you work with people, whether you have a small or a large family, whether you just have a nuclear family and you're very tight, whether you have your work crew, whoever it is, you at some point, even with all this AI and technology, you have to talk to a real person about whatever, about anything. There has to be some type of human connection. So it's okay to say that you need help, which is actually a sign of strength that you, one, identify that you can't do that alone. And two, you identify, you know what, I do have some weaknesses. I do have some things that I'm still working on. And it's okay for me to recognize the strength of someone else that can help me. So that's my piece, and I'm happy to hear from you guys. Style Me Thrift Queen said, I didn't know anything about therapy until I was deep in depression after the pandemic and losing family members. One, thank you for being very transparent and vulnerable in that, because not everyone is open to sharing that. But that's it. A lot of us have not even been exposed or had not been exposed until we found ourselves sinking into depression or having these things that, okay, I thought I could get out of this by myself, but I'm gonna need some help. Or I haven't dealt with this, right? During the pandemic, so many people were passing away at this rate that was like, oh my goodness, what's happened? I've never dealt with. It's traumatizing, right? So to be able to express that, one, she said, I thought I was dying and I was having anxiety and depression, because it can feel like you're suffocating, right? It can be your breathing pattern change. Oh, it could be, again, it's that mind body connection, because when you're experiencing a panic attack or an anxiety attack, it can feel like a heart attack because it's affecting your physical body now. And to be able to reach out and say, you know what, I do need therapy, or to be able to, like she said, something is different. I'm not myself. This may be depression. This may be anxiety. This may be, something that needs to be identified so that I can get the resource to help me get out of it, or not even get out of it all the time, but to help me work through what this is and to be able to progress along the way, right? Um, so that's really, really good. Thank you for sharing that. And again, thank you for your vulnerability. Sam said one of the most liberating things is sharing that you need help with someone who can help you. A therapist is so beneficial. Yes, yes, yes. And this is not saying that everyone needs therapy, right? But this is saying that if you do need therapy or you do desire it or you do want to try it out or you are in it, it is saying that you have recognized that, you know what, there's somebody there that can help me and benefit me and help me walk through and have the tools so that I can be a better person for me and for those around me. That's exciting. That's exciting to me. And like Sam said, it's liberating because it's like it takes a weight off of you. Well, you know what? I don't have to carry this burden alone. Someone can help me start to take off the weight. Someone can help me get the tools to start unpacking these things. Somebody can help me talk through the vent, right? Someone can help me vent and get this what's inside of me out, and I can start processing like, you know what? That did happen then. And ever since that happened, this is how I react to people that act like that say things like that look like that because of that moment. And it's liberating because you're like, man, this, you start putting the pieces together and it starts to make sense. That only happens when you reach out to someone, right? And again, everybody does not need therapy. Let me be clear. I'm not saying everybody needs to sign up for a therapist, but I'm saying what we are saying is if you do get therapy, it is a great tool to help you work through so many different things. And it doesn't mean that something is wrong with you and you don't have to wait until you feel something is wrong to go, but it can really be a great thing as a preventative measure. It can really be a great thing to help you grow, right? It can really be a great thing to help you maintain where you are. Like some people, I had a friend who she was saying like she was going to therapy every week. And then as she made progress and her therapist started recognizing progress in her, she cut back to like twice a month. So she didn't just cut it off like, oh, I'm good now. But she was like, you know what? This is still beneficial to me. I've made enough progress. I don't have to be here every week, but I still want to keep this tool and this person in my life to help me continue to grow forward. I'm in a great space, right? I'm in a great space now, and I want to continue to move forward. So I'm going to keep seeing this therapist. Perfectly fine, right? I think that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Sam. Salmi Thrift Queen said, and therapy is just the beginning of the journey. You have to change the way that you eat. You have to change your environment. Yes, you're going through the 10 that we got on the paper and the things that's going on around you, the way you connect with people. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, hey, it's Jelly. Hey, Evelina. And y'all, my sinuses are adding up tonight. So I apologize if I'm a little stuffy. But yes, like she said, therapy is a piece, right? It is the beginning. It is a piece. So as we go through therapy, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit too, you also have to monitor your environment. Because if I'm in therapy, and some of us can work through things simultaneously, right? So as I'm in therapy, I'm also considering what other voices are around me. So I have my therapist, or have my counselor, but also, okay, who's in my day-to-day space? What are our conversations like? The question, Evelina, is what are some common myths you've heard about mental health? And I hope it's showing. Y'all let me know. Is it showing down here? Because I've been having some technical difficulties. We're working through it, right? But let me know. But it is what are some common myths you've heard about mental health? But you may need to change your environment. And I think one of the hardest things sometimes can be, limiting your time with certain people. And I've been called mean before. Because here's my thing. I'm gonna tell y'all my perspective, and I want to hear from you. My perspective, right? If someone is not adding to my life, or if I don't have a good like intuitive feeling about that person or about the situation, I'm okay with like cold turkey cutting you off. Like I'm good. Like we don't have to communicate, and it's no love lost or anything like that. But if people send me, and I'm not even talking about dating, I'm talking about like in general, people send me like mixed signals. I'm like, I don't know if you're my friend, I don't know if you're with me. I have no problem for my protection of my environment and my mental health of being like, yeah, nah. Like if I respond slower, if I don't go, it's just like this is how I protect me by shifting my environment. And that means I guess what I'm saying is also analyzing or reanalyzing the relationships that I had. And part of that may also be me limiting communication. So you don't even always have to cut people all the way off. There may be some people that you do, but it's also okay, we can limit communication. So I may see you, talk to you, be cordial. We're not like vacation together, spend a lot of time. You're not coming to my house. You know what I'm saying? So I think even that is limiting your environment. Also, and we'll talk about this a little bit more too, is like what you are feeding, right? Our whole theme for this series this month is mindful consumption. So what are you consuming? So what you consume includes what you're listening to, right? And there's a lot of things in media that'll make you think a certain thing about men or a certain thing about women or a certain thing about different demographics of people, right? Where if you're feeding on this, you start developing, and all the stuff is not true, right? So you start developing these opinions about things, sometimes based off of false information, right? And we talked about this in previous conversations. Even on the conversation that we replayed last week was about this whole like back and forth between black men and black women, and often they're outside forces trying to pit us against each other. When like for all my male friends, oh, I got their back 100%. No, I mean, like, no questions asked. My male family members, friends, and I'm just identifying them for the sake of this conversation. I got your back, and I want you to do well, right? But some things in media will try to make it seem like, oh, the black woman is against the black man, and the black man don't care nothing about the black woman. Well, that may be true in some spaces, but across the board, in general, the majority, that's just not a truth. It's not a truth. So I think, hey Courtney, I think one of those things is like, okay, thank you, Sam. It is showing. But I think we have to consider our mental health, and I guess with that is like friendships, but also with dating and relationships. And again, we have this conversation a lot, right? With dating relationships, we done series on it. I think one of the big things with that, and y'all give me your feedback, I really, really want to hear it, right? Is it's okay for me, and I've said this probably a million times. I'm very clear up front, right? And I think sometimes, unfortunately, with both men and women, we hold on to people for the sake of companionship, which is not good for your mental health, right? We hold on to people for the sake of companionship versus, is this really what I want? Or do I just want somebody? So what I grieve, right? What I really grieve, and I don't know if this is a preacher in me coming out. What I really grieve for the people I love is when they hold on to relationships with people and they settle. Like that literally grieves my soul, because I'm like, like I don't believe in settling in any space, but I do believe the people that you are connected to, especially the person that you're connected to on that level where you're considered marriage or whatever, you're settling for that. Oh, please don't do that, because I think that has such, for me, I believe that has such a big impact on the trajectory of your life, right? If I have to deal with all the things in life that I have to deal with, no matter what my vocation, no matter what my geographical location is, no matter what I do, for my hobbies, if I have to deal with the world and face the world as a black woman, as a black man, as a person of color, as whoever, as just a human being, if I have to face the world and then I got to come home and I got to deal with some craziness, right? No relationship is perfect, but I'm talking about I just got to deal with somebody that might not even like me. I can't do it. That's just, and it's no judgment, right? But I'm like, man, that's a big deal to come home and have a safe space to go to, right? Like, and I think sometimes we limit it to you want to be by yourself or you want to be in a safe space. But I'm like, if you have to choose between the two, I would choose being alone before I choose being with someone who don't like me, or I'm not even sure if I like them, or I'm holding on to them for the sake of holding on so I'm not alone. That causes so many more issues. That's my perspective and my context, right? But I feel like that just causes so many more issues when that doesn't serve you. But y'all let me know what you think. Lena said, I have to learn to cut people that affect my mental health. Absolutely. And it's not mean, it's not wrong. Especially if you're very intentional about where you are, where you want to go. It is, this person doesn't fit in where I'm going, doesn't fit where I am, And that's okay. It doesn't make them a bad person. It doesn't make you a better person. It makes it that this is not a good fit. They may be a good fit somewhere else in someone else's friend circle or someone else's relationship, but you're not a good fit for me. Right. And sometimes people have to deal, with that. However, you deal with it. You don't have to cut everybody off even cold turkey. You can start limiting time with them and then go from there. But we have to at some point make some changes if it's affecting us mentally. That's what I'm saying. Protect your mental health, for your stress management, for your personal growth, whatever that may be. You have to protect yourself the same way you protect yourself physically. You have to protect yourself mentally. That's a really, really big deal. That's a really, really big deal. And that will always be a big deal for me. Right? Second thing, thank y'all for sharing. I appreciate y'all. Second thing is, as we talk about mental health, as we deal with, detoxing your mind, one of the things we really have to also pinpoint is recognizing negative thought patterns, right? And excuse, I had to get some notes, y'all, because this, for me, this is so real. One of the things that I kind of read about is, one of the things we do is, and we've talked about this honestly before too, is black and white thinking. So we make everything like, well, if I can't accomplish this, then I can't do nothing. Like we equate it like, well, if I can't get this one thing done, then I can't get nothing done. Or if I got a no here, I'm always getting a no. Like, it's like we make everything either this or that, and that's it. When there's so many options out here, right? Y'all know what I'm saying? Like, it's so many options out here where if this route doesn't work out, you don't have to go to plan, like you don't have to just have plan A and plan B. There may be a route A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? So A didn't work. Cool. We can move on. Easier said than done, right? But we have to stop limiting ourselves to like two options. Like, well, if this doesn't work, then this is all I got left. When there may be 20 other options and 20 other routes that you could take, but we start getting into this negative space. Oh, that didn't work. So if that didn't work, then I'm gonna have to default or fall back to this, which ain't really even what you want. Right? But you do it because, well, that didn't work. So this is all I got left. When really we have to, because of who we may have around us, we may even have to lean into them like, man, help me think through this, help me do this, so that I'm not falling into thinking that I can't accomplish anything because this one thing didn't work. Right? Another thing is, negative thought patterns can also look like catastrophizing or overgeneralization, right? So that can start looking like self-sabotage. Like, yesterday was a bad day, so our thinking becomes, yesterday was a bad day. So this must mean that every day moving forward is going to be bad. And where that seems extreme, how I just said it, some of us get into that thought pattern where today was a bad day, so it's just not gonna work. Nothing's gonna work, right? And I'm be honest, I was in this space yesterday. This is a safe space, right? I was so frustrated yesterday. Oh my goodness. Nothing was going right. My the camera that I'm on now would not work. When I tell you I troubleshooted every way I could think to troubleshoot, cleaning, clearing out my cookies, restarting my computer, going through my settings to see what had camera. I mean, everything I could think of, switching to a different device, it would not work. And I'm so frustrated. And it's like everything that could, right? Murphy's Law, everything that could go wrong went wrong. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. But I had people around me to be like, look, it's going to work out. You're going to be good. And all I needed was to hear that, like, you know what? You're right. It's not, the camera didn't work. Okay. Like all these other days in a week. I'm like, man, but we go live on Tuesday. Like, you have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You have all these other days, girl. Calm down. And I just needed somebody that I trusted to just say that, right? Because in that moment, I could not get myself out of it. Like, I needed to talk to somebody. I needed to vent for myself because I was like, nothing's going right today. This happened earlier, and then this happened, and it's raining, like everything. Like, I just was like, and it's raining outside. Like, girl, what? Get yourself together. Right? But it was like, I got into a thought pattern of finding everything that was wrong. When also yesterday, a lot of good things happened. I was able to get a lot of things done, but I got so caught up into, I started overgeneralizing, right? So everything was wrong. Even the things that probably went really right, wrong. I can't do this. I was like, I like literally confessed this morning. I was like, y'all, I left and then I didn't do nothing. I went home, right? And I had plans to do other things, but I was like, I couldn't do it. And I made the excuse, it's raining outside, so I can't do nothing. I gotta go home. Like, girl, get yourself, right? But in that moment, I also recognized I can't get myself out of this space. I need someone to help me. And I sought out help. I was like, let me reach out to someone before I really go too deep into this thing, right? Style Me 3 said, I found it very difficult to cut off close family members that you had in your household whenever you're growing. Yes, that's good. And I think this relates to the first point and the second one of it can be difficult because again, society, culture, right? And y'all don't get me on this, right? But sometimes close family members, close friends, people you grow up with, they're not necessarily the people that you maintain relationship with as you grow and as you go forward. Not saying this is not, hey, cut off your whole family. No, but this is like, okay, because sometimes if we can be honest, people will try to put you in a box, right? And they'll try to bring up, because you're close family and friends, they know so much about you, right? They'll try to bring up often what you used to do and how you used to act and this and that. And sometimes some of those people are the very people, hey, they MVJ, some of those people are the very people that will try to tear you down, whether they do it on purpose or whether they just, saying things for jokes or whatever. There's still words that can hurt, right? So that because they know you so well and because they know so much, often they'll remind you, but you used to do this, but you used to do that. Remember we used to go do this, which is true, sure, okay. But now the space that I'm in and I'm growing into, I may have to limit my communication with you if this is going to be the only, like, I don't mind joking, Kiki, we can talk about old memories, yes. But if it gets to the point where I feel like you're pulling me down or our relationship has shifted or I sense jealousy or I sense, hey, Keith, or I sense hints of something that doesn't sit well with me, right? Culture will sometimes try to tell you, but that's your family. Yeah, it is. However, you can limit time with them as well. Hey, Rev. So it's okay to limit time even with your family. Like it may, I don't know, it may sound crazy. It may sound, but it's okay because at the end of the day, you have to protect yourself and your mental health. So if that means I have to cut off people that we had a long relationship with, but now it's not serving me, right? And I'm intentional when I'm thinking about this. I'm not just gonna have one argument with you and be like, I'm done with you, you a hater. No, but I am gonna consider, okay, what have we consistently been able to do? Is this relationship one that consistently brings me down? Or am I taking this wrong and they're really trying to help me grow and push me? Or, like you have to really analyze the situation for what it is. And sometimes that takes us stepping out of it and really looking at, okay, what has the pattern been with this person? Are they truly tearing me down? Or are they critiquing me in a loving space so that I can grow? Or, like what is happening here? And once you're able to identify that, right? And we don't do that during a time of high emotion. But what we do is we analyze it once we kind of cool off or once we, get in a space where we can really think clearly and say, you know what? Nah, this isn't good for me. Or we say, you know what? I might have been sensitive in that moment and they were really trying to help me. So you recognize, right? That's the distinction between the negative thought pattern and maybe I just had a moment of frustration. So, and kind of like Sam said, learning to love from a distance. It's okay. Like I love you. We don't hang out every day, but I love you. Right? We ain't kicking it, but I love you. If I gotta, be like, you know what, I ain't really trying to talk about that right now. Right. But I love you though. And that's the boundaries. Those are those boundaries. And oftentimes you have to set boundaries in order to protect yourself from falling into those negative thought patterns. Because it's a pattern, it becomes a pattern when it happens over and over and over again. We all have moments, right? We feel, frustrated. We all have moments where, we get upset, we get sad, we have emotions. Excuse me. What I would say is something we want to really analyze is if we're constantly in a state where we're tearing ourselves down or we constantly in a place where we think that we're unable to build relationships. We're constantly in a state where everything is bad. If we find ourselves in that all the time, I think there's a space. And Mavis spoke about this when she was on the social worker, she spoke on this. She was like, if you find yourself in a space where you're not able to kind of get out of it, that's a good time to reach out for help, right? Where it becomes a constant. Style Me Through Queen said, yes, I always raised the siblings. I was always raised that siblings have each other's back no matter what. Now, as an adult, I realize that we are just different women and see things differently. Absolutely, and that's okay. Hey, Trinae. So yeah, so again, with siblings, with family, with friends, you have to, because I think we have this standard of what a sibling is. Like, siblings get along and siblings do this, and we have this standard of what a mother is. Where everybody did not have a loving mother or a healthy relationship with their mother. Everybody didn't have a healthy relationship or a loving relationship with their dad. So when we start to standardize and say, well, you should respect your dad or you should love your mother no matter what, that it can be tricky, because again, you don't know what that relationship is, and you don't know what kind of words these mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, cousins were saying to this person. You don't know what people did to this person. So don't slap you should love them, and you should don't we can't just slap that band-aid on it, not knowing the full story or not knowing the dynamics. That can be very dangerous, and that can be harmful to people. Just saying, well, that's your mama, that's your daddy. That's not always healthy, just because of the relationship, because a relationship doesn't always equate to a bond, and that type of relationship doesn't always equate to a healthy relationship. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that wasn't offensive to everyone, but we got to be honest. Right. And I think the last thing as we talk about this is, I think when we get into negative thought patterns, when we go back to friendships and relationships, whether it be romantic, platonic, we'll start accepting less than what we deserve. Right? So if I'm in a negative thought pattern and I think, oh, I'm not going to be anywhere further than I am now, I can't do any better, we'll start accepting less than what we deserve, because we've now become complacent, or we're now settled. So now it's like, well, I just take what I can get, because, fill in the blank, because I wasn't able to accomplish this, because I won't be able to ever do this. Right? When we start boxing ourselves in, we'll start accepting, well, yeah, I'll go ahead and just accept that. Right? And not really being able to live our full potential, because we are stuck in what we can't do and not recognizing the highlights and the sparks, but because our focus is in one area. So this is the last thing for real. I said that for real, right? But I was in a meeting last night, and the thought that was put out was, think about what you're thinking about. So if you think about, I forget how many, it's like 80,000 thoughts that people have a day, right? So what do you normally think about? Like, if you think about what you think about, what do you normally think about throughout the day, right? Are they mostly like negative thoughts? Are you thinking about your future and planning? Are you thinking about your job? Are you thinking about your health? Are you thinking about what you have to do the next day? Are you thinking about, right? So if you think about what you're thinking about, sometimes we can be more intentional about retraining our mind, and even trying to listen to like affirmations or listen to positive things to retrain our mind and almost like reset our mind to a positive space, right? Think about what you're thinking about. So maybe that's something we can do as a group intentionally, like, okay, what am I thinking about throughout the day, right? And I think sometimes that'll even help us on a personal level to reach what we really want to do, right? Next thing, right, is the power of self. I'm not moving through these as fast as I thought I was. But this is good conversation. I really am enjoying talking to y'all. I'm just like, I thought I was gonna be moving through these faster than this. So the next thing is the power of self-compassion. You have to give yourself grace. Like, even through all this, through the relationships, through disappointment, through thinking about what you're thinking about, through the negative thoughts, at some point we have to recognize that we also have to be kind to ourselves, right? Mental health is also part of that, is also what you think about you and how you treat you, right? We often put standards on how other people should treat us and what we're willing to accept from other people, but also, what are you accepting from yourself? What kind of words and what kind of things are you saying to yourself, and how are you treating yourself, right? Are you keeping your hygiene up, right? Because it's mind, body, spirit, soul, right? Are you keeping your hygiene up? Are you drinking water? Are you, like, how are you taking care of yourself, right? In a physical way as well as a mental way. Are you giving yourself grace? Because I know one of the big things is, I know for me, again, being completely honest, I am my own worst critic. I will go back. Hey, Bobby. I will go back and listen to myself speak. I will go back and listen to preach and stuff. I will go back and be like, oh man, I tripped over that word. Oh, I didn't mean to say that like that. I meant to say it like this. I didn't mean, or I turn something in and be like, man, I could have done this. I am my own worst critic. Granted, we want to do well, and I always push excellence and doing well and giving your very best. But do your best and let it be your best. Often we'll become our own worst critic to the point that you'll do something well and people will be complimenting you, and you're like, but I could have did. You know, we won't even accept the compliment from somebody else. You know what though? I was thinking I could have said this or I could have did that, right? And it's like, no, you did an amazing job. Give yourself credit. Give yourself credit. You did good, and you have to speak highly of yourself, because it can be really easy to fall into self-pity. It can be really easy to fall into this space where you're always like, nothing is good enough for you. Not from other people, from yourself. I should have did this. I could have did that better. I could have done it. But if I would have fried the chicken a little longer, y'all would have had crispier skin. Like, no, you fried the chicken, everybody ate it, it's gone. It ain't even no crumbs left. You got to be kind to yourself and give yourself compassion. Again, some of these things are easier said than done, but if we intentionally, and I'm saying we because I am my own worst critic. I'm harder on myself than anybody else will ever be. I promise, right? But we also have to get in this space where we're giving ourselves compassion. Like, you know what? Like when I don't get my to-do list done, I'm like, man, what happened? When it's like, you know what, girl, number 1 and 2 on your list today were heavy. Let's clap our hands for that. You did that. Good job. We'll get to 3 through 10 later. But you need to acknowledge that 1 and 2 were big accomplishments and they were a big deal. Good job. Let's move on to the next thing and we'll get that done tomorrow. Your day may look like, man, I just got up. I took a shower, I put on some clothes. Give yourself compassion. Be kind to yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror. And I think that comes with confidence, helping to build up your self-esteem. And other people may call you cocky. Other people may say you full of yourself. Whatever. If I don't think I look good, anybody can tell me anything. Look at yourself in the mirror like, dang. Okay, yeah, I put that on today. Whatever it is, you have to show yourself kindness. I showed up as my full self today. That is amazing. I'm happy that I was able to do that. Right? I look good. I lost 2 pounds. You know, whatever it is, show yourself the kindness of like, you go boy. Like Martin, right? You go girl. I love Martin. You go girl. You go boy. You did that. Even if it's not the largest thing, knowing that you just took a step today. Like you have to take the time to acknowledge that and acknowledge those small victories and give yourself kindness. Sam said that's literally on my list of things to improve on this year. Giving myself grace is harder than giving others grace. Yeah, we can give others grace all the time. Oh, they didn't mean to do that. Oh, I know you got a lot on your plate. Oh, you have to also sometimes you just take a step back. Like, you know what? Even if this didn't go, excuse me, y'all. Even if this didn't go exactly as planned, even if I really wanted to do it this way and it came out that way, I worked hard and I did good. And, it was well received. And, whatever the case may be, that's all true. So leaning into sometimes you look at what did go well. You acknowledge what didn't go the best. And then you move forward and say, you know what, but this is what went well. It's the silver lining, and it's giving yourself grace because we're going to make mistakes. We're going to mess up. It's not ever going to be perfect. Sometimes, you get stuck in traffic and you're late. It happens. It's okay. I remember one day I was stressing about something so much, and it was a team thing. And I was so stressed. I mean, stressed, right? And then I'm on a team on my hostage job with a nurse, a social worker. And the nurse was like, if you can't make it, it's okay. And when I tell you I was stressed to get to this meet, I'm like, man, it's so unprofessional to be late. I got stuck in traffic. They're going to be, looking at me like I'm crazy, right? And I'm one of the only people of color on the team. So you already know they say about CB time. Like I'm going through all this in my head as I'm on my way late. And the nurse texts me and like, it's okay. You're good. No care in the world. And I'm like over here, like about to have a panic attack. And she's like, whatever, you're good. Give yourself some grace. Things happen. And other people understand that as well. And then even if they don't, you still give yourself grace. Right? So my question to you all is, what does self-compassion look like to you? So how do you give yourself grace? So I know Sam mentioned that's on her list to give herself grace. So that's my question is, how do you do that? Like, what are some ways that you do that? For me, what I have started doing, while y'all kind of think about it, one of the things that I have started doing is I take a break. Like, I think often I personally get stuck in this space of, you have to be producing, right? You have to be doing something. You have to go. You have to do this. We're on the ground. We on the grind. These are the things we're trying to get done, right? I'm like, and if you're not getting anything done, right? If you're not producing, you useless. I forgot what song that is. I think that's a T.I. song. I don't know. Anyway, it's like, if you're not, I know that's probably Big Crit. If you're, I think it's Big Crit and T.I. All right, that don't matter. If you're not producing, if I'm not doing something, if I'm not, making progress in something, I'm wasting time. And I'm really working on me getting out of that mindset, because rest is essential. Right? And I will say, I have captured that I don't have to work to get rest. Like, I understand that. Like, I don't have to work for my rest. Like, say, okay, I put in 4 hours so I can take a nap. No. Now, when my body cues me to rest, I rest. But sometimes I'll rest, but I'll still be thinking about what I could be doing while I'm laying here resting. So I don't even know if that still counts as rest. So I'm a work in progress, right? So I'm giving myself grace in the sense of, when you're resting, you're not taking away from what you're not doing. When you're resting, you're actually adding value, because you're allowing your body to replenish itself, and you're allowing some things to happen, because your body is now at rest, right? So that is at least something that I am, and that is in progress, right? So we're working on it. We're working on it. It is not perfect by any means right now, but it is something that we are working on. It is something that I find myself really trying to do better at. Oh, I can see Facebook comments. Okay. Alicia said, effectively advocating for yourself, your time, your space is essential. Yes, you have to advocate for yourself. Hey, Kasim. Hey, Gator. Hey, Mavis. Hey, Alicia. So one of the things, I can't see everybody up here, but I can see, thank y'all for commenting. Making time for yourself gives yourself grace, showing up for yourself in whatever way that looks like. Sometimes I just eat junk food. Granted, that may not be the best. The people, the healthy people, gonna jump on me about that. But I don't do it a lot. But some days I'm like, I am gonna eat something fried today, and I'm gonna have a tea, and it's not gonna be green tea. It's gonna be a tea with a whole bunch of sugar and boba in it. And that is what's going to make me happy in this moment. Tomorrow, I will have a salad and a green juice and some water. Today is fried. Today, that is what it is. And I love it. And I'm happy. And that's okay. I don't indulge all the time. But if that's something that I need, that's what I feel like I need in that moment, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. It's okay. Right? I go get massages. I get a brain break. Like, I do those things for me to say, you know what, girl, you need a break. And you should take a break and not feel guilty about it. For many people who serve or work in certain capacities, or if you're a parent or if you're a caregiver, it can be very hard to show self-compassion, because, again, we can be so hard on ourselves. However, that compassion not only allows you to show up for yourself, it also allows you to show up in a more healthy way for the people that you're helping to take care of. So if you're drained, if you're tired, if you're in a brain fog, you're not a lot of help to anyone. So take time to give yourself compassion, to be kind to yourself. Healthy coping mechanisms. That's the next thing. And I promise I'm going to move a little bit faster. I don't know what happened, y'all. I got excited and I just kept on talking. So we may not get through all of these. Maybe we'll get through 5 and we'll do 5 next week. Maybe we'll do that. Because I have 10. So we're going to end at 10 for real. So one of the things I really wanted to explore is healthy ways to cope with stress. Because many of us, it's not that we don't want to cope, or it's not that we don't want to be in a place of peace or serenity. It's that we don't know how. Like, I don't know what to do, right? Because I think what has happened with self-care is self-care has become reduced or deduced down to a vacation. It's been deduced to go get a massage. While those things can be forms of self care is also going to therapy. Self care is also getting to the root of whatever is going on with you. Self care is also changing your environment if you need to, and then moving away from people who bring negativity and toxicity in your life. Self care is also, you know what I'm saying? It's also limiting and being careful of what you're digesting when it comes to television and music. Music change your mood, right? I'm not demonizing those things, but if you already got an attitude and then you go listen to Nuck If You Buck, that might not be the best thing right now, because somebody gonna catch a boat, and that's not really what we want in that moment. We want to de-escalate, not escalate. We want to come back down to a healthy space and not be ready to fight everybody around us, right? Music can change your mood. So one of those things can also be a sign of, okay, how do we de-escalate? How do I find a healthy way to do this? How can I, soaking in the tub? It may seem very simple, but it also can help with bringing down, like, helping your nervous system regulate, right? Because you're in a calm space. It can help get your heart, like slow down your heart rate, so your blood pressure isn't up here. Like, it's just so many different things where it can seem simple, but it can really make a big impact. But there are also these things where we don't want to limit to self-care. I need to take a day off. You took a day off and then you were running errands all day. That's not self-care. You took a day off, but you didn't deal with the issue. That's not self-care. You took a vacation. Whole time you're on vacation, you would think about how much money you spent on the vacation. Now you stress for real. That's not self-care. Right? So you want to have healthy coping mechanisms. And I would never tell you all this and then I give you some options. So some options for self-care could also be meditation. So in the morning, just taking, or at night, or whatever time of your day that you have, taking time to just sit in silence, to reflect, to forecast, or to not think about anything. Just centering yourself in a space of peace. You may play some ocean waves in the background. You may play some calming music, some different types of frequency, right? Stretching. We don't realize how much stress we carry. And I realize it when my neck and my back and my shoulders get tight. Why? Because I hold my stress in my neck and my back and my shoulders. And again, it's mental stress, but it's now weighing on my body. So my body starts signaling, hey girl, you stressed out. Your back is hurting. Your neck is hurting. Your shoulders are tight. You're stressed. My body starts sending me signals. Right? So I think stretching helps, right? Stretching out. My massage therapist gave me different types of stretches, hip stretches that really can release things from you. Journaling, getting what's in your head out on paper. So I'm taking what's here, I'm putting it down on something. I'm getting out, venting in a healthy space, not venting and then, everybody about to ride out and jump somebody, but venting in a space where you can say your piece. And even the person that's listening, like, hey, do you want me to give you a solution here? Do you want me to just hear you out here? What do you want from me? And being and communicating, because we get mad at people. Like, well, I won't telling you this for you to give me no solution. Well, you should have said that then. Like, you got to communicate with people what you are expecting in this moment, right? And again, communication sometimes takes time to develop. But hey, I just need to get this off my chest. I don't even want you to say that. I just need to get it out. It's just something about unloading sometimes. But make sure that person is in a space to receive before you do that. Get permission for it. Hey, are you okay? I was talking to one of my friends last night and I asked him, I said, are you okay with me venting? I just need to get this off my chest, because I also wanted to respect where he was. Because if he was not in a space to receive it, both of us were going to be in a bad space, right? And I remember a day when somebody had offered, like, hey, let's do this, let's go out, let's talk. And I was having a rough week, right? I was having a rough week. And they knew I was having a rough week. And then they dumped on me. And I was like, oh my God. I was toe up because I'm like, what happened? I was supposed to be venting and leaning on you. And you just dumped everything on me. And I was even more frustrated than where I was from the beginning, because I'm like, if I could be honest, like, this month was supposed to be about me. Like, and you offered. I asked you, you offered me. But venting in a healthy space, just making that therapy, going to see your therapist, and also implementing the tools that your therapist gives you, right? Taking breaks throughout your day, working for a little bit, go out and get some fresh air, work for a little bit, take a walk, work for a little bit, just take a brain break, work for a little bit, look at some pictures of some memories that you like and bring you a laugh, right? Doing something creative. For many of us, we dance, we draw, we write. Having that space where you have your rigid schedule of, this is what I do, this is what I do as my vocation, but then I have a space where I can just be expressive and I can be creative and I can, like, I can do that in that space. Scream. And by scream, I mean, like, go outside and just, I ain't gonna scream up here. Go outside and let it out. Again, it's something about a release that does something sometimes. Soaking shower steamers, like, all those things can be, and this is not an exhaustive list. So there are other things, right? And I want to hear what your healthy coping mechanisms are. And by healthy, I mean, like, things that you can do that can help you and won't add stress to you. So what are some of yours? Sam said when she's stressed, she said gospel music does the trick for her. So she's reminded of the goodness of God, and that always grounds her. So yeah, many of us find it in whatever, our faith would be. So if your faith in God, your faith, your belief system, going back to those things, prayer, and none of these are in isolation. Like, you don't have to do one. You can do them all, or you can do a few, or you can do a mix, or you can do certain things on certain days. Like on Tuesdays, I do this, but on other days, I do that. And I go, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes I vent with people, and sometimes I just scream out to God, like, what in the world is going on? And that's just what I do, and that's what it looks like for me. So I think it's really good, Sam, saying that, again, music can, especially gospel music, spiritual music, inspirational music, listening to positive things, really can affect and shift your mood. And it really can ground you and get you back to a space where you're able to think clearly, where you're able to really calm down, where you're able to, put yourself in a space where you can start to process what's going on, and that self-care and those healthy, because often what we'll do, and again, not demonizing anything, is our coping mechanisms will be things that cause other issues. Right? So it's like, if your coping mechanism causes another issue, like, I'm gonna go make a big purchase, right? Some people, like, I'm here for retail therapy. I think retail therapy works sometimes, right? But when it becomes an issue where you can't pay your bills, or it becomes an issue where it's causing you some financial stress, we need to work on other ways to get therapy. So maybe retail therapy ain't that, but maybe, some other type of therapy, some personal types of therapy, or some other type of therapy, or some other mechanism is what you need, versus going out. Or some people, we have these things of somebody go buy a motorcycle, or go buy a big car or a boat, or, what I need to do? I need to just move. Granted, you may need to move, but if it's a rash decision, you may want to hold off on it until you calm down a little bit, and then decide, you know what, maybe I do need to change the scenery, and maybe I will, progress better, or maybe I can thrive in a different environment. But what we don't want to do is make that decision in a high emotion moment, and then we're just doing stuff just to make something change, but it's not really. It's going to cause more issues later, right? So I'm going to stop here, because it's 9:59. And we've been up here, and I really have been really enjoying this conversation. I also want to respect you guys' time, so I try to limit our conversations to an hour. I think this conversation has been really good. I have 5 more things, but I want to hold on to those until, oh no, we didn't. Well, I have 6 more things. So, but I want to hold on to those until next week, because I don't want to rush through and we not be able to have a healthy, conversation. So thank y'all for sharing tonight. If you have any final thoughts or any kind of like practical advice, or just advice in general that you want to throw out, we're always open to that. We love, again, we are a community. So we love to hear from you. We love to hear from your experiences. We love to kind of glean from each other. But I think the biggest things tonight is understanding that um, needing people is not a sign of weakness. You have to be intentional about what you're thinking about. So think about what you're thinking about. And if you need a shift, again, it's not going to happen overnight, but think about what you're thinking about and then start putting in, whether that's listening to positive affirmations in the morning, whether that's writing your own affirmations, depending on your faith, whether that's reading scripture or listening to gospel music. Start intentionally implementing healthy practices to where you're hearing positive things and saying positive things to yourself, showing yourself self-compassion. So be kind to you, give yourself grace, and then reevaluate or analyze your coping mechanisms. So are your coping mechanisms things that start to cause other issues, or are you in a space where you've developed healthy coping mechanisms where you're able to really deal with what the problem is and what the issue is in a healthy, positive, intentional place, right? So that's tonight, right? We're debunking myth, we're detoxing our minds, and we really are being intentional about this journey, right? Of being better and showing up for ourselves, as well as protecting our space and our relationships with other people. And it starts with ourselves. We can be honest, it does. Thank you, Sam. Thank you for coming on. Everybody that was on, thank you, thank you, thank you. Whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, I appreciate y'all. The conversations would not be where they were or what they are without you. So thank you. Next week, we'll be back on our regular night, Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. I cannot wait to talk to you and see you there. If you want to talk some more, you can DM me, text me, whatever. I would love to continue the conversation, but we will be back next week debunking, detoxing, and being mindful about our consumption. So I will see you later. Thank you for joining us on the